This is Jonah and Sean. We are FotoFox. How would you like to spend anywhere between 2 months to a full year just looking for a photographer? Sounds crazy, but this is actually what is happening. These are first-hand accounts we've heard from interviewing our customers. People, especially brides, spend not only a ridiculous amount of time trying to find the right photographer, they go through physically harmful amounts of stress trying to find one that they can trust and connect with. Meet FotoFox, an online platform with an optimized search engine for customers to find the right photographers. We gather key information about the customer to narrow down the results from thousands to a personalized short list of top photographer matches. We save time, reduce stress, and build trust. It all started in Paris when I lived with a couple of photographer friends. Their photos were stunning, but they just couldn't find customers. Wondering where this problem was coming from, I stood in front of the Eiffel Tower from 5 a.m. till midnight and talked to hundreds of people. That's when I found out that customers would actually love a professional photographer to capture their special moments. They just hated the struggle of finding one. Our hypothesis was that good photographers didn't know how to find customers, and the customers who wanted a photographer couldn't find one. The pain points for photographers were that they don't have the small business skills to market themselves. The pain points for customers were that they couldn't find the right photographer, it was too time-consuming to search for one, and they didn't know who they can trust online.
When we returned home to the University of Waterloo, we came up with the idea of an online marketplace, a place for customers to find professional, local photographers. They could compare ratings, see reviews, and trust in a third party to handle payments and bookings. We save time, reduce stress, and build trust. We knew we could solve these problems for several customer segments, but we needed to find a niche customer as a starting point. Our main criteria was to find a group of easily accessible decision makers who had a pain point big enough to work with us to find a solution, and were ready to spend money now. We found that we could easily find concentrated groups of soon-to-be brides that cared immensely about the product at hand. Not only were these customers incredibly stressed about finding a photographer, the profit margins were also significantly higher per sale. Now we had to put our solution to the test. We snuck into a wedding trade show with 500 brides to be in a clipboard and tested our pain point assumptions. It turned out we were wrong, and out of the hundreds that we spoke with, only 7 signed up. And that's okay because that's also when security kicked us out anyway. Our assumptions were wrong. We didn't have a proper product market fit, so we needed a pivot. By getting out and testing our assumptions on real people, we were able to go beyond just proving our initial assumption wrong. We listened much more than we spoke. We heard that they loved the idea of finding ratings and reviews all in one spot. They loved that they could trust a third party to solve conflicts and hold deposits so photographers couldn't run away a week after the photo shoot. We asked in-depth questions about what they struggled with the most. They told us that photographers are incredibly expensive, and couples only have one chance to capture their wedding. They wanted to research their photographers in depth before making a decision. But doing a Google search returns thousands of photographers. Brides end up skimming through most choices, and this makes brides afraid that they may have overlooked the best photographer. They often follow dead ends too, where they find a portfolio they like in a budget they can afford. They set up meetings in person just to find out that the photographer is already booked that weekend. More importantly, photography is based around a small number of key styles, but they spend years training themselves to identify and capture such a style. New brides don't have the knowledge to express what they like about a photograph, so they don't even know what to type into a search engine to help. The idea of an open online marketplace was scrapped. Instead, we came up with a curation model, similar to a real estate agent. We learn about the customer and ask key questions that lead to articulating what styles attract them the most. We continuously cut out photographers until we're left with the top in a bride's budget, available on their wedding dates with experience in the styles and venues the bride is looking for. Then, we present 3 to 5 of the photographers we think are most likely to make customers happy. The bride still owns their big decision. They can now review each candidate in depth. But this list is now manageable, which means it's fast, it's stress-free, and they aren't afraid that the best photographers slip through the crack. We took this idea back to the trade show for testing. Our hypothesis worked great. Each customer told us how excited they were that such a thing exists and signed up with their own handwriting. We immediately signed up 90 brides, ready to pay us. Now that we had a strong product market fit, we had to figure out how to make this happen. We still had a number of assumptions to sort out and didn't want to spend weeks coding before we were certain we were on the right track. So for our MVP, we spoke with each of our initial customers in person and personally searched for every photographer and measured our ability to find a match. This lets us understand our customer in depth. It also lets customers tell us what features are most important to them. Most importantly, it gave us speed and flexibility. We could offer whatever we needed to in order to close a sale, and we can track every detail of what works best and what excites the customer the most. Photographers have been in our main interest since day one. We cultivate close relationships with photographers and hope to build entire communities around our business. They also provide us with invaluable information. They want us to succeed because ultimately that means more customers for them. So when it comes to key concepts like where to find our customers, they tell us exactly where to look. Our main source of brides we can meet face-to-face comes at trade shows. In fact, photographers have already given us free tickets as their guests to get us into trade shows. As we grow, it will be vital to utilize Facebook's targeted advertising so we can narrow in on recently engaged women in our geographic area. Photographers have also pointed out key influencers such as bloggers that we can contact. It's also important as we grow to keep a close relationship with our local startup hub, which provides us with significant resources, mentors, and peers who have faced our problems before. We will continue to keep a close personal relationship with our initial customers. We hope to build a reputation that we understand the needs of our customers, and we can make their lives easier. The key activities will be to continue to test our ability to match photographers with customers, as well as compare the initial satisfaction to the satisfaction after goods are delivered. We also put a big focus on finding repeatable processes across multiple customers, as this is what will turn into our software-coded method later on. Our revenue stream is simple. We collect 10% commission on completed sales in exchange for delivering customers to photographers. The average wedding package in Canada is $2,400, although we are initially aiming for customers with higher budgets to help us grow faster. Our total available market is $5 billion. This includes photography in North America specifically for weddings and personal photo shoots. This does not include things like school photos, passport photos, and commercial photography. To find our serviceable available market, we narrowed the category down even further to include only our initial niche wedding customers in Southern Ontario. Finally, we reached our serviceable obtainable market by removing those couples that use wedding planners to find photographers, then built test advertising models on Facebook based on our current budget, and assuming standard industry click-through rates and closing rates. Moving forward, we've identified key assumptions that still need further testing. Given that the manageable size of the photographer list was so important to customers, we want to test the optimal number of photographers to display to customers. This uses two key metrics. The first is the number of photographers that reduces stress to the point where the list is actionable and the customer stays engaged. The second metric is the average total number of photographers that must be seen before feeling comfortable with a final decision. It's unlikely that these two numbers are identical. We also need to carefully test our ability to convert to an online platform. We can manage this by moving small pieces online at a time. For example, having the customer fill out an initial questionnaire online, but still responding to the questionnaire in person. We can compare satisfaction with an average baseline satisfaction when the entire sale was completed in person. Finally, we will need to test the best method for getting customers online. This can be easily tested by tracking our customer acquisition costs in small test runs. In the long term, we will continue to move towards a sustainable market in our local region. When wedding photography is stable, we will expand to other photography verticals in the same local region. Finally, we will look at repeating the process in larger cities, such as New York City.
We are two full-time student entrepreneurs from the University of Waterloo. Sean has significant experience in the tech industry, specializing in software and effective design. Jonah is our photography domain expert. We work out of the Velocity Garage incubator space in the University of Waterloo. To summarize, we hypothesized an online marketplace solution, tested it in front of real people, and proved that we needed to pivot. We successfully validated our new idea and optimized search engine for customers to find photographers. We built an MVP that's already successfully serving our customers. We've signed up 113 people and already collected $900. And by the way, we managed to do all this in less than 5 weeks. This is who we are. This is what we do. We are FotoFox.